The Athletic Hall of Fame was set up in 1971, and tonight's honorees represent the 34th class of inductees into the Athletic Hall of Fame. This class will add 10 more members to the select group of 286 student athletes, coaches, and others who excelled in their particular sport or area of service and left a lifetime of memories for all of us who follow and support Clemson athletics. What really matters in the selection process? It is a number of wins, number of records set, number of championships, number of years of loyalty or service. Certainly these achievements matter, but the Hall of Fame represents much more. It is about dedication, it's about commitment, teamwork, leadership, humility, character, and accountable behavior on and off the field. It's about representing Clemson in a positive way and being a role model for the young and old alike. And tonight's inductees certainly represent these qualities. I was in the weight room the other day, and don't let my physique fool you that I do anything in the weight room. But I was in there, and one of the things that really I noticed was they've got these big concrete columns in the weight room, the one under Jervy anyway. And on each one of these columns is wrapped, very similar to what our goalposts are in football, but they have 4 sides to them, and on all 4 sides are some of the words that I just read. And I couldn't believe it the other day. In fact, I asked one of them to call me back and tell me all the words that were written. And these were many of the words that were written on those. So our student athletes see those just about every day, the words commitment and teamwork, leadership, humility, those kind of things. So it really meant something to me, and it shows that our staff is committed to those traits. This year's class includes several All-Americans, one a 6-time All-American, several All-ACC members, members of all ACC tournament teams, a coach of 2 ACC championship teams that were undefeated, ACC champion, again, one time a 6-time ACC champion, academic All-ACC, members of the ACC 50-year anniversary teams, member of NCAA national championship team, participate in the Olympics, participants in the Olympic trials, professional athletes, members of World Series championship team, a Pro Bowl participant, and members of Hall of Fames other than those right here at Clemson. Thousands have played, coached, and supported Clemson athletics in the proud 126-year history of this institution, and a small percentage have been selected for induction into the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame. One of the main responsibilities of the Block C Club is to recognize the accomplishments of our letter winners during their competitive years at Clemson and during their professional careers after Clemson. Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame is one way to honor our own. The bar was set high by the group of Hall of Famers we will recognize tonight, and the bar has been set very high in every area of our Clemson Athletic Department. And the person responsible for carrying out this vision of excellence is our Athletic Director, Dan Radakovich. So please help me welcome our Athletic Director, Dan Radakovich.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As we are here on a Friday night to celebrate the induction of 10 very, very special former student athletes from Clemson University, we're also here on a night where there's a lot of activity on campus before a football game on Saturday. So as many of you know that live around this area, Clemson tends to be a busy place in the fall. And for those of you who have come in just for this special occasion, welcome home. There's a line from Thomas Green Clemson's will that I think should get a little more attention. It is in the same passage as the famous phrase, high seminary of learning, that is so often used to describe what Mr. Clemson intended for the university to be. Right before the high seminary of learning phrase, Mr. Clemson said the university should combine, if practicable, physical and intellectual education. And he went on to say that it should be a high seminary of learning. Clearly, from the outset, Mr. Clemson was interested in developing the whole person. We in Clemson Athletics embrace that challenge and have made it the foundation of our mission. 3 of our goals speak directly to this commitment. We are committed to providing each student athlete with the appropriate academic and athletic resources to enable them to pursue and achieve their Clemson University degree and prepare them for their career after graduation. We are committed to supporting the welfare and development of the student athlete personally, professionally, and socially through an integrated system of care and support through providing relevant, state-of-the-art, targeted programs, services, and guiding principles. And we are committed to promoting fellowship through the Block C Club amongst all former student athletes and to recognize their accomplishments and contributions to Clemson athletics. The significance of the Athletic Hall of Fame is that the members exemplify these values that Clemson strives to develop within our student athletes. These values include family, integrity, innovation, growth, and excellence. When you look through the list of those who have been inducted, you see not only accomplished athletes, you see role models in all facets of life. You see people who have made a positive impact, not only on Clemson athletics, but far more importantly, on the lives of others. So tonight we add 10 more worthy inductees to that list, 10 people who will further elevate the already lofty, prestigious membership of the Clemson University Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all the new inductees, and thank you for personifying the best in our university. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Dan. I'm Don Munson. Welcome to this Hall of Fame induction ceremony as we recognize 10 sons and daughters of Clemson University, 10 family members of Clemson, 10 people that now will be always enshrined with what Clemson means. A brief video before we get to meet these 10, so if you would direct your attention to our video screen and highlights from our inductees here tonight.
Nancy is a player. Wow, athletic. I mean, super, super explosive. It was kind of like she just kind of glided, you know, through thin air. And so it was really a pleasure to watch her play just from an athletic standpoint.
And I would say playing sports with our twins, I think it gave us an edge because there was something unspoken between us. We could always play on the soccer field, and I could blindly play a ball to Nancy and just know where she was going to be.
When Nancy first got here, she was ready, physically, mentally, soccer-wise, to step in. And one of the reasons why they won an ACC championship, and one of the reasons they were able to play a back three back in the day, especially against teams like North Carolina, was because she had somebody like Nancy in the back, who was all around, had everything that you'd look for in a player. Speed, athleticism, quickness, technical ability, speed of thought, speed of play, and that extra edge mentally. You know, she was a leader on the field.
But the thing about Nancy is she really set a standard for herself that was much higher than anyone else would have ever set for her. And she tried to reach that standard every single day.
She loves her school. She loves her team. She loves everything about Clemson and what it meant to her.
Jay Berger is an interesting personality, and I want to first say the main thing about Jay Berger, if I could say one thing, kind of like Iron Man, is that he was a warrior. I mean, the consummate warrior. The guy was a bulldog. He got on the court. It wasn't artistic sometimes, it wasn't pretty, but as Chuck Creasy would say, he was gritty.
When I recruited Jay Berger, we needed a competitor. That's what I was looking for. All the pieces were in place to have a great team. Luckily, I watched Jay lose the first round of a national championship match at Kalamazoo, and he will not like me saying this tonight, but this is the truth. He was underneath a bush or a little tree crying after the match out in the parking lot, and I was the only coach to talk to him. Well, I'm glad that he lost, and he must have remembered me talking to him because he came to Clemson. Very quickly, he rose into being one of the top players in the United States.
He had great ground strokes, great forehand, great backhand, but he ran, he had great wheels, and he had a very idiosyncratic serve where he started kind of up here, and he kind of rocked it and hit it because he had a shoulder issue, and people always would think, you know, how can this guy be that good a player? Look at his serve. But obviously he was one of the top players in Clemson history.
Well, I was recruited by Coach Bruley when I was at Fort Lauderdale High School, and I had no intentions of coming here. That's the irony of it. I had no idea where Clemson was. But my doubles partner, we were number 3 in the state. Coach needed a number 3 doubles team, so he was smart enough to recruit my partner, and he invited me to come along. And I told him I really didn't have any inclination to come here. So I came up here, and he was just probably the nicest man I ever met here.
You know, Hoke Sloan, for all those years, he was the bedrock and the father of Clemson tennis, but you were the guy that got it going at a national level. Coach, I guess the best thing I can say to you, and the best thing that anyone can say to a coach, is your legacy are all of those guys and all those people that you've had. I still remain great friends with many of your guys that I've met over the year who've been so kind. Coach, these guys are your legacy, and these are guys that they do you proud because they've stayed in tennis. They love you a lot, and they've always told me that when I've ran into them.
What I remember the most is that I wanted to win for him. He made us feel important and very special.
When we signed Danny was recovering from back surgery. So it was sort of a gamble, but not really. We knew that if he got healthy, he was going to be one heck of a player for us, and he was. He was not able to hit a golf ball until December of his freshman year, and by February he was a starter. So it didn't take him long, and he just took off from there.
Danny was a great teammate. We came in together as freshmen, played all 4 years together, had a lot of competitive battles between ourselves, which turned into great competition for Clemson against our opponents. We were very successful. The best traits that Danny displayed were he had a competitive fire that was second to none, wanted to win, whether it was ping pong, pool, golf, whatever it was. He had a belief in himself, which helped him, attain the goals he set, in his golfing. And he just had a desire to be the best.
Well, the first time I remember Ed McDaniel was that we were practicing for a bowl game in somewhere in Florida. I guess we were at Daytona, and we sent a couple of coaches back up to the East-West high school all-star game in South Carolina, and Tom Harper happened to be one of them. I think Miles Aldridge might have been the other one, and Ed was a linebacker who we didn't know very much about, and he was practicing so well that Tom Harper called me that night and said that we want to offer this young man a scholarship. And I didn't even know who Ed McDaniel was, and I said, what's the deal? And he said, well, he's a little short, but he can play. And I said, well, you're the defensive coach, and if he can play, we need him. So.
You were an outstanding player, outstanding leader through the Clemson years you were there. It was my privilege to coach you. Although I told many people many times, all I had to do was get you started in the right direction, and you would take care of the rest of us.
Ed was a very likable guy. Everybody on the team really thought a lot of him. Coaches, players, all the secretaries in the building. That's the type of personality that he had. And he kind of displayed what he did on the field, same thing off the field. And he was a very likable guy and did a great job for us in terms of selling Clemson.
Linda came from a small Y program in Harrisburg, PA. Her development was a true story of how hard work and attitude can lead to greatness. She was one of the toughest women I've ever been around, which is one of the greatest compliments I can give. During her 10 years as a swimmer, she made significant improvement every year.
I remember when I was being recruited by Clemson, one of the things I was most impressed by were all of your great achievements, and the fact that as a sophomore you were able to go out and be the first female swimmer to win individual events at the ACC championships, and that really showed me that, you know, the Clemson program was moving in the right direction, and that I wanted to be a part of a program that was breaking new ground and trying to get to the next level. And I think the other thing that I really remember most about swimming with you at Clemson was that you taught me that it didn't really matter who won a race as long as Clemson won the race. And I know together we competed against each other many times, and like today, I don't remember who won any of those races, but what I remember is after every race, no matter who won, that you know, you were always there with a hug and a smile and a way to go. And you taught me that it didn't matter who won as long as Clemson won.
Linda was multi-talented as a swimmer, but the best part was what a wonderful young lady she was. Being around her was one of the great pleasures I had in my 17 years of coaching swimming at Clemson. I've been associated with many great athletes over my 30 years of coaching. Linda was one of the best I've ever had the pleasure of being around.
Well, Tim Tuffle and I feel a bit of a kindred spirit, and we both came to Clemson for the 78-79 academic year, and we were both from Connecticut. He came from Greenwich, Connecticut, and he had an instant impact on the Clemson program. In 2 years, he had 24 home runs. He had 13 in the 79 season, 11 his senior year. Really, it was a big reason Clemson got to the College World Series. He led the ACC in home runs that year with 11. There might not have been another second baseman who has led the ACC in home runs since then.
Tim was a baseball god for us at Clemson. Just being his peer, we had some good teams, but Tim just loved the game. He worked hard at the game, and he had just pure enjoyment playing baseball.
Well, Pierce is turned into the ambassador for our program when it comes to alumni and you know, resource in the area for soccer, because he runs the CISA Soccer complex and the CISA Soccer Club. So obviously he was a fantastic player when he was here at Clemson, and I remember I was playing about the same time in college, and Pierce Tormey was a name that was synonymous with success in college soccer. More than anything else, when I first was interviewing at Clemson, Pierce was the name that a number of people gave me to talk to, and you know, his integrity as a person and you know, his honesty is what strikes you more than anything else. He's got a great sense of humor. Even, you know, he's one of those people that can tell you no and make you laugh about it, but he is also the type of person that when things don't go well, he's the first one to make you feel better.
When I think of Sharon Wells, I think of a winner. She hated to lose worse than any player, I guess, that I've ever coached. Sharon was a left-handed two-guard and extremely athletic, very talented, worked very hard, spent a lot of time on her own developing her skills. Tremendous work ethic.
I remember in 1991, we played Virginia. Virginia was ranked first in the nation, and in that game, she scored 25 points. In that same year, NC State was ranked high, and she scored 25 points for that game as well. So she was not intimidated by no one, but she always continued to have that pleasant personality, shooting that ball just deadly all the time.
But more importantly, the thing that when you met Sharon or saw Sharon, that smile from ear to ear, very much like Barbara Kennedy. She just had a personality that you fell in love with. Sharon Wells was a tremendous player and a big, big part of the success that we had at Clemson University.
When someone mentions Billy Williams to me, I have fond memories. Billy came in 1977, I believe, and he was just a pleasure to coach. He was very attentive to everything we were trying to do, but he was very quiet off the court.
Billy Williams, when I thought about doing this, the first thing that came to mind is that Billy was swagger before that term was popular. You know, he just walked around with a very high level of confidence. He wore the wristband around his forearm in a way nobody else did, and just was a tremendous player. I believe he was the best two-guard in the ACC.
Billy came to Clemson, and he was not only a successful player, but he was probably the first player I recall that played with a certain flair to his game. And as opposed to a lot of guys who tried to play with flair, he played with flair and produced results. Billy had a tremendous game, very creative game, and obviously he produced great things at the institution at Clemson. But maybe the best thing I can say about Billy Williams is that he was a great teammate. Great teammates make your teams better. Great players are great to have, but they need to be great teammates. Billy was a great teammate.
You know you're a Hall of Famer when you have Hall of Fame people in your introduction. Outstanding from that. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would also welcome, assisting me here tonight is the 2014 Miss South Carolina, Lainey Hudson. Lainey, come on out. Lainey is going to help me question our recipients here this evening, so I'll let you go down the steps and take your spot as we get off to the ceremonies, and away we go. Our first recipient of the evening from women's soccer, played here at Clemson from '97 until 2000. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nancy Augustiniak.
Soccer star Nancy Augustiniak is a member of the ACC 50-year anniversary soccer team. Nancy was first team All-ACC in 1999 and 2000 and received All-ACC tournament honors in 1998 and 1999. Following her collegiate career, she played professionally with Atlanta Beat. Hi, Nancy.
Hello.
So we know you were recruited by other schools, but why Clemson? Who had the most influence on your decision?
Well, I have to say the main reason that I even thought of visiting Clemson was Tracy Leone. She had coached my sister and I at a region camp for about a week, and I was immediately impressed by her because just simply of her playing background. And she had the character and the charisma, and she knew what she was talking about. So I thought, let's give it a chance. Let's take a visit. And immediately when I got on campus, I fell in love with Clemson. How can you not? And the team and the chemistry, and it really felt like a family. So it was an easy choice for me.
Obviously, a special bond between twins. We always hear about that. If you're not a twin, I think sometimes you're a little envious of that twin bond, to be honest with you. But you got to play with your sister not only here in college, also in high school, and then later professionally. That'd be very special for the both of you.
Definitely. I feel. I wish this was the last question.
It's all right.
But I feel so fortunate and grateful to have had all these amazing experiences simply because I played a game called soccer. But to be able to share those experiences and those challenges and really the journey that I took to reaching my dream job is playing professional soccer. And I shared that with my twin sister. I mean, not many people can say that. And she was my biggest supporter, and she is the reason I had the success that I did, because she pushed me, whether she meant to or not, but she pushed me because of that healthy competition, day in and day out, whether it was on the soccer field or not. But I'm blessed.
Absolutely. We have special bonds with our sisters. But so what was one thing in your career that had the most influence on your life once your playing days were over?
Well, that's hard. I've learned a lot through sports and soccer in particular. But one thing that really stands out is really the importance of hard work and preparation. And that takes me back to one of my defining moments here at Clemson. It was my senior year, and we were playing UNC at Riggs Field. And I was fortunate enough to be able to take a penalty kick, which led us to beat Carolina for the first time. So, and I remember after that game, I gave an interview. I didn't remember until one of my friends brought it up a few months ago that in an interview after the game, what I had said was, I wasn't nervous. I've taken this shot 1,000,000 times, and it was just like I did in practice. And so that's what I've learned. If you put the hard work in and the preparation, when your big moment comes, you'll be prepared to take care of business.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nancy Augustiniak.
Thank you.
Next up, men's tennis player Jay Berger. Please welcome Jay.
Tennis All-American Jay Berger, who amassed a 91-22 record in 2 years of play for the Tigers, before turning pro after his sophomore year. At Clemson, he reached the Final 8 of the 1985 U.S. Open and later was a member of the 1988 U.S. Davis Cup team. Jay is also a 2015 Intercollegiate Tennis Association Hall of Fame inductee. You have some fans.
I like it. Fans in the audience. That is outstanding. I actually had the pleasure a couple years back of walking a golf course outside of Tallahassee, Florida, with Jay as he was following his son Daniel, who was competing at that time for Florida State University. We won't say that.
Let's not say that.
We won't say that too loud. But obviously, home for you is Fort Dix, New Jersey. So how in the world does a guy from Jersey end up here in Clemson, South Carolina?
Well, actually from Florida. When I wasn't recruited actually by too many schools. Coach Creasy was one of the only schools that recruited me. As a tennis player, you knew if you wanted to become great, Clemson was the place to go to. And it was great people, wonderful people, great coach, great teammates, and it worked out fantastic for me.
That's great. We're glad you chose Clemson. But at one point in your career, you were one in the top 10 in the world with wins over some of the greatest players. Who or what at Clemson gave you the confidence to compete at such high levels?
Well, that's a good question. I think it was what we did every day. I mean, we strived to be great every day. We were pushed beyond our limits or to our limits. We were made to really feel comfortable being uncomfortable, and we were taught not to fear anybody. So when you're playing the best players in the world, I think kind of the background that I had growing up and then coming here, and I think my freshman year I played 69 matches in all kinds of conditions, really prepared me extremely well.
Outstanding. Obviously, we mentioned Daniel. Daniel right now playing on the PGA Tour. Tennis and golf, though, go along kind of hand in hand. They're individual sports. Yeah. You're out there on an island. It's all up to you with the way that you perform day in and day out. So what have you tried to pass along to your son as he now seeks out his professional career?
Well, I think probably what was passed on to me is that, first of all, follow your passion. Be prepared. Surround yourself with great people. And he's doing great.
Well, you have surrounded yourself with great people. Congratulations on being
Congratulations.
inducted. Jay Berger, ladies and gentlemen. Our next inductee, also from tennis, but back from 1963 to 1973. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome head coach Dwayne Bruley.
Record-setting tennis coach Dwayne Bruley, who has the highest winning percentage of any coach with a tenure of 10 years or more in any sport in Clemson history. While leading the Tigers for 11 seasons from 1963 to 1973, Dwayne had 150 wins in 192 games, including Clemson's first ACC championship in 1969. Ooh.
I like it.
Great.
I like it.
Have a seat. Here you are, Coach.
I like to be taken care of.
We will take care of you here at Clemson. But during your time here as head tennis coach at Clemson, you were also a professor of chemical engineering. Who gave you the opportunity? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's a rather serendipitous, I'd say, process. My brother talked me into going into engineering, never realizing that I'd be a professor. But when I was at the University of Tennessee, as a graduate student, a PhD student, I was asked to coach the tennis team there as well. So I completed my PhD, and I was told that there was a position here at Clemson, and I had more or less studied in process dynamics and control, and they needed somebody in that area. So Dr. Johnson advised me to come down and speak to Charlie Littlejohn, who was head of the department. And so I got here, and in the process, he said, you know, Coach Howard wants to talk to you this afternoon. And I thought, wow. You know, first of all, I never thought I'd ever be a tennis coach. It was never in my radar. And so anyway, I went over to see Frank Howard, and here he is, a big old blustery guy sitting behind his desk. And, you know, he says, next year we're losing our coach, Les Longshore. And he said, if you come to Clemson and take the chemical engineering position, I'd like you to coach our tennis team. And boy, I was bowled over. And he said to me, first of all, I think tennis is a sissy sport. And he said, if you take the position, though, I want you to win. And so anyway, I talked with Sue, my wife. She supported me through all this. And I took the position and came down here, and I started winning every year, having really decent records, you know, and never heard a word from Coach Howard. Never called me in, even in the meetings. He never said, Bruley, you're doing a good job, or anything like that. And so about the third year or fourth year I was here, we played Georgia Tech, and we beat Georgia Tech. And I'd lost to him twice before, I will say, but in my record, I had 4 wins and 2 losses against Tech. But anyway, we beat Georgia Tech, so Monday morning my phone rang in the office, and Howard said, I want you to come over here. And so I went over to his office again, not knowing what to expect. And he looked at me across the desk, and he said, Bruley, I still think tennis is a sissy sport. But he said, anybody that beats Georgia Tech, I want to shake your hand.
So, I love it. Yeah. Well, probably one of the reasons you didn't get called over there is because you won. I mean, you were the highest percentage winning-wise over a 10-year span at Clemson. Clemson's first ACC championship, obviously, in 1969. But I want to make sure I get all this right. Advanced degrees in chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, nuclear engineering. Of course, you've served as a dean at institutions all over the country. So what's been your driving factor through all these years?
Money. The positions I took, we have 3 boys, all 3 of our boys. Randy is here today. We're born here in Clemson, South Carolina. And by the way, his wife, Eileen, is here, and Hunter, who's going to be a good tennis player. But anyway, yeah, we had 3 boys to put through college. And I kept getting offers that were better than the one I had. And so I took the offers and went to these different places, that's all.
That's a great lesson. You've had some wonderful experiences. But what advice would you give today's young people who have competed at some of the highest levels in athletics, but are maybe ready to go into the working world?
Well, obviously they've learned a lot from competing in athletics, and it's no different in the working world. You have to size up your competition, know where you want to go, set your goals, have a passion to achieve, and work at it very hard. Nothing comes easy in life, and so athletics instills this in young people. And I think those are the lessons from being on the court or on the field or whatever that they learn, is that, hey, there's people out there that are as good as I am or better, and if I want to beat them, I've really got to work hard. And so anyway, that's, and then as Yogi Berra says, when you come to a fork in the road, you take it. And you know, you've got to make judgments as you go along. And so that's basically what I'd tell them. Hey, nothing's easy out there. And
50% of this game is 90% mental.
That's right.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, there's always the smartest man in the room. I'm not so sure I'm not sitting beside him right now. Congratulations,
Well,
Coach.
I would like to say one more thing about chemical engineering. The department supported me all the way through. Of course, my wife and family did. But when I look back on all of the professors that I came in with, including George Minahan, Chris Alley, and all of these people, but then Bill Beckwith and Joe Mullins had a passion for tennis also. And they served as my assistants and helped me a great deal through these years. So I really appreciate that.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
A couple of tennis guys, so why don't we bring up a golfer? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from men's golf from 1989 to 1993, Danny Ellis.
Golf great Danny Ellis was the first freshman in Clemson golf history to be named All-American, an honor he received 3 times. Runner-up at the U.S. Amateur in 1993, Danny played in the Masters in 1994. When he graduated, he ranked 10th in Clemson history in career stroke average. Please welcome Danny Ellis.
Looks good on you.
Hello. Here you are.
How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you. Welcome back to Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be back. Danny, obviously a great golfer coming out of high school. You were recruited by all kinds of quality programs. We heard a little bit of the story from Coach Penley, but what was the great influence that pressed the button and made you say Clemson?
Well, I think my friend Britt Jones was in Orlando, and a coach was going after him also. So we both came up to Clemson for a trip. And so when I got here, I just loved it, you know. And then I stayed with Kevin Johnson. So he's a Hall of Famer also, golfer. And so he just kind of, just said, Danny, this is the place to come. It's like the greatest. The coach is the greatest. And so yeah, it was great. So it's kind of an easy thing to do.
Awesome. Well, looking back at your college career and many of your accomplishments, which one means the most to you and why?
And I think winning our conference championship, because we're in the ACC. So winning that's kind of great, and because I just think and so with the winning in your own conference is so like a great accomplishment.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You know, Danny, you take a look at today's young tour player. Daniel Berger is out there playing. He's not that far.
Good. He's real
that
good.
far separated from college. The Jordan Spieth of the world. Has the player changed much though from your day to today's? Have these kids just better prepared because of what is happening before they get to college?
I think so. Well, sure, because and now the guys are bigger and stronger, and they hit it farther. So it's like it's easier hitting like a wedge than like a 5-iron, So it's a big difference. So if you can bomb it, it's a lot of advantage. So yeah. So it's a big difference if you're. Because nowadays also I think too guys work out a lot. more than me, because I didn't work out hardly any. So now I think they're more prepared, you know. I mean, they're more like on the, because they just work out more and they're just stronger.
Well, congratulations on being inducted into Clemson's Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Ellis.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, from golf, we're going to go to football. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please welcome from 1988 to 1991, he menaced the ACC, Ed McDaniel.
NFL veteran Ed McDaniel led Clemson in tackles 3 of his 4 years, including 114 in 1991 when the Tigers' rushing defense was first in the nation. Ranked in the top 5 in Clemson history in tackles, Ed was a semifinalist for the Butkus Award in 1991. He retired in 2001 after a 10-year career with the Minnesota Vikings. Please help us congratulate Ed McDaniel. Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm
All
doing
right.
great.
The
you know,
orange...
in Minneapolis, you know, 45 and 50 degrees coming here. It's like 70, 75 degrees. I'm sweating. I'm like, God.
Well, welcome back to South Carolina weather.
Thank God I wasn't here last week. All this flooding going on. Thinking Moses is coming through here with the ark.
You never know with South Carolina weather what it's going to bring. So you came from Batesburg, Leesville area to Clemson, South Carolina, to becoming one of Clemson's best linebackers of all time. Who would you like to thank for this, giving you this opportunity?
Well, I got to thank my mom, God, and swear to God, there's nothing to do in my little hometown but catch chickens. So, you know, I like to thank all my relatives. I like to thank the coaches that brought me up, my uncles, when I was a little kid playing football at 7 years old, and had the opportunity to come up here and, you know, Coach Ford, Coach Harper, and all of those guys giving me the opportunity. And it was great. You know, they gave me the opportunity to come up here. They took a chance on a poor little black boy from South Carolina. And, you know, my hometown was pretty much mixed, where either Carolina over here across the railroad track or Clemson right there. Which one you gonna do? Which one you gonna do? But, you know, grew up with football, so I made a choice to come up here with a bunch of my friends in my hometown, and it's the best.
We're glad you chose Clemson.
Absolutely.
I am too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then Carolina was giving me a granted aid. I can't pay that back. I said I'm a poor country boy. I was a poor country boy. Danny Ford gave me a scholarship.
I love it. And as we saw, Coach Ford was, you know, he's a little undersized, not really sure.
Oh, everybody was saying that.
Yeah.
Man, when I got to the pros, same thing.
So what was that? When was that moment in time that, hey, I can do this? Did that moment in time come here at Clemson, or when did that moment in time come?
Well, you know, as growing up, I was one of the guys, everybody depended on me in football and stuff like that. And so that became the norm. But once I had the opportunities, like, okay, you're too small to play, you're too small to play. And when you get a senior, you're like, I'm too small to play. I'm making all the plays on the field. So you get up here and you start playing, and it started making a difference once you get out there with like-minded guys. Me and LaVon Kirkland, I swear to God, they probably gave me and LaVon Kirkland the last 2 scholarships. And we played, you know, we didn't play together, but we played against each other a lot. And we played in a bowl game in Myrtle Beach. And we pretty much got, you know, played well. And so we come up here to Clemson together, and it was nice. And then we just look at each other, we're like, you know, we can play this game. You know, everybody was telling us that we can't, we're too small, too undecided. And like Mal Aldridge, position coach, he looked at me when I first came up here for football camp. He said, Ed, can you hit? I said, well, put a football in your hand. I hit you. So ever since then, you know, he was like a father figure to me, and Bill DeAndre back there was a father figure to me. And it took a lot of people to get me where I'm at. And then I was here 5 years, and then it came to me like, Ed, you may have Chester McLaughlin said, Ed, you may have an opportunity to play in the NFL. Suck it up, stop drinking Jack Daniels for a year, get your stuff straight, and try and give a big effort to play. And we did that, got drafted in the 5th round, played with Minnesota for 10 years, And it took a lot of guys to get me to that point. Coach White got me to that point too. He said, man, if you work hard, you're going to work hard at Clemson and you're going to be successful. I said, okay, we're going to be successful. He asked me, Eddie, what you want to major in? I said, Coach, engineering. He said, Ed, you're not going to work that darn hard. You're not going to work that hard. Pick up human resource or something like that. I said, thank you, Coach, thank you.
Well, we know you worked very hard on and off the field while you were at Clemson, but we know...
How you know that?
I've heard.
Have your people call mine, okay?
I will. I'll have them call tomorrow to verify. But we know it is a sometimes tough transition from college to the professional league. It is a transition. What advice would you give to student athletes now who aspire to go to the professional level?
It's very few make it. You know, you got to enjoy where you're at and enjoy college all you can, because the real world is tough. You got to start paying bills. Minnesota 50 degrees, center point energy will turn you off. So enjoy college while you can, and then if you get that opportunity to take whatever you have for all the hard work, what everybody was saying here, probably everybody in here plays sports when you're a little kid. You have a dream, a vision, go out there, go for it. Try to get it. Regardless, you're going to have a lot of people trying to pull you down, say, no, you can't do it. Yes, you can. Go for it. And then if you happen to make it to the pros, that's great. That's just gravy on top of it. But if you don't, you get married, go into the working field. What you do, you raise your kids to the best of your ability, be a great husband, be a great wife. Then you get a job, and you work that job just like you have growing up playing sports. All of it relates to each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ed McDaniel.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Women's swimming is up next. Linda Reuter is our inductee. Congratulations to you, Linda.
Six-time NCAA All-American swimmer Linda Reuter was a three-time academic All-American and a six-time ACC champion in competitions from 1984 to 1986. She was a member of two top 20 teams in 1985 and 1986 and was an Olympic trials participant in 1984. Please help us congratulate Linda Reuter.
Linda, a Philly gal. You're not exactly, that's not south of the Mason-Dixon now. That's north of the Mason-Dixon. So how does a Philly gal get here to Clemson, South Carolina, and who's responsible for bringing you here?
Well, there's a lot of people that were responsible, but I was interested in the ACC, and it was actually University of Virginia that got me here.
Go Cavs.
I was on a recruiting trip at UVA, and they happened to be hosting the ACCs. And I was there with my parents. And I looked at the pool and I noticed one team, they're wearing these big tiger heads and they're all hooting and hollering for each other. And I looked at my parents and I said, this is going to be a job. You know, athletics is. I said, I want to have fun. And I said, I want to go there. and then, so I walked up to the Clemson coach as they were about to board the bus, and I told him my name, introduced myself, and I told him I was there at UVA on a recruiting trip. And he said, I can't talk to you. And I continued on, and I said, but my name's Linda Reuter. And he goes, all right, what do you swim and what's your time? And I told him, and these people know. Keith Emery walks by, and he said, Keith, give me your sweatshirt. He took it off. He handed it to me, and he said, I'll call you Monday. And then there's the recruiting trip. And I came here and fell in love, and that was all.
That's great. We're glad you saw those Clemson Tigers while you were at UVA. But you were very successful in swimming. You were a 6-time NCAA All-American, a 6-time ACC champion. But what is one of your greatest memories from your Clemson experience?
That's a really tough question because all of them were. I mean, I cherish all of my Tiger memories, and I can't really pick one. But if I had to say what was important to me was I was a 17-year-old, 12 hours away from home, and I had an instant family. And with the swimmers and the coaches, and we have become forever friends. And I think it's apparent in all of my friends and family that have come to help support me and celebrate this with me. And that means the world to me. And even my head coach came in from Colorado to be a part of this, and that was my family. And we're going to be family for the rest of our lives. And so.
Well, you not only enjoyed great success, obviously, as an athlete, but that term student athlete was true with you. You're great in the classroom as well. So what is the advice now that you give? What is the importance of earning a college degree?
I think we all know that it's almost a necessity anymore. And I would say good grades obviously are going to open more doors any way you look at it. And the whole experience is going to shape you and leave a mark as a person. But we can also use our athletics as leverages too. And I have an example of that is when I was working for a bank and just randomly got a newspaper for Atlanta and interviewed with this company for sales. And they asked me, do you want to work in sales? And I said, because my whole life, I've always worked hard and got rewarded. And sales is very much the same. And I said, I'm going to work hard, so I want to get rewarded. And all of us know as athletes that's true. And so they realize you get up at 5 in the morning, you work hard, you have a lot of character with you. So it's a combination of the two. And I ended up getting the job and calling my parents and said, thank you for all those times you drove me to swim practice when I was little. And it was a wonderful experience, and it was an awesome job. So.
Well, a true daughter of Clemson. Congratulations, Linda Rudder.
Congratulations.
Now, before we get to our next honoree who is here with us, we need to recognize one who is not with us here tonight, and that would be Tim Tuffle. And I think that Tim's picture is up behind me. Now, Tim can't be here because he's actually coaching third base for the New York Mets right now in the playoffs. So we congratulate Tim. Unfortunately, he cannot be here with us tonight. But if we would, even in his absence, a round of applause for Tim Tuffle. Men's soccer team is in action tonight over at historic Riggs Field. We just celebrated the 100-year anniversary of that very special place. And from men's soccer, would you please welcome Pierce Tormey.
Soccer champion Pierce Tormey was a starter on Clemson's 1987 national championship team. The Tigers' 1989 MVP finished his career with 40 goals and 41 assists, becoming the second player in Clemson history to reach those benchmarks. In 1989, he was 20th in the nation in points scored with a total of 38 points. Please help us congratulate Pierce Tormey.
Check, check. One.
Hey, it's working. It's all working. Well, I mean, you weren't even north of the Mason-Dixon. You weren't even on this side of the Mason-Dixon. You had to come all the way from Ireland to end up here in Clemson, South Carolina. So, who's responsible for getting you here to this little southern town?
My old man brought me up to the bus station, took the bus, jumped on the plane, and I was here. But no, before I start, obviously. A couple of weeks ago, got a phone call from Bob Mahoney, and thought he was looking for some more money or some more Letterman recruits and said, hey, what's wrong, Bob? What do you need? And he said, hey, you're going to be part of the Hall of Fame. And for once, I was actually left speechless. So chatted with her a little piece, chatted with you yesterday. Said, hey, you know, how long we get for a speech? He said, 20, 30 minutes. So I said, okay, no problem. I'll tell you what I'll do, buddy. I said, I'll do the 30 minutes. Every minute over the 30 minutes, I'll donate $1,000 to IPTAY, and I'll recruit 2 more members for you for the Lettermans. And Bob kind of looked at me and he said, you know what, buddy? He said, you take your time and you speak real slow. But obviously, coming to Ireland to Clemson was a little bit different. And obviously, my mum and dad, the decision they made to allow me to leave home. My dad is here with me this evening, delighted to have him with us. And, but they allowed me to be me, allowed me the opportunity, obviously, at that time supported me financially to be able to have that opportunity, along with certainly appreciate the IPTAY people who I had no idea who IPTAY was when I came here. It was a great name, but IPTAY obviously provided a full scholarship and gave me an opportunity to come here. So to the donors and to the IPTAY people, certainly thank you very, very much. And then my best friend, probably for the last 35 years, my beautiful wife, 23 years married, who I was engaged to be married before I ever came to Clemson. And 2 beautiful children here, my son's a senior here at Clemson, graduate, and then my daughter, Anna Maria, who's a senior at high school. So they supported us all the way through kind of what we do. But John Roots, who unfortunately is not here with us this evening, John came to Ireland recruiting. I played with a club called Belvedere, probably one of the top teams in the country at that time. John came and watched the game, went off over to England. I think he went to Holland, went somewhere else recruiting, came back and trained with us. And during the practice, we kind of kicked the living daylights out of him. I think he came back to Ebe. He said, hey, Ebe, out of fear, we better recruit this Tommy kid. So somehow we talked Ebe into offering me a full scholarship. And I said, hey, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. But as an assistant coach, John, I certainly appreciate it. But, Ebe, Trevor Adair, hey, Mike Noonan, all you head coaches out there, you certainly get a lot of credit and do a great job with your programs. But I think it's fair to say most of us, and even the people behind us, the first people that probably laid eyes on us, recruited us, identified us, was probably the assistant coaches who do the donkey walk, who do all the traveling, who spend a lot of time on the road recruiting, looking at film and trying to recruit us. So Greg Hooks, I believe, is here with us this evening. Greg was another assistant coach. We certainly appreciate it. Greg is very successful, just had his 300 career head coaching win up at USC Spartanburg, and Sean Cartmill is here. But all the assistant coaches out there, whatever sport you're in, we certainly appreciate all the hard work and the time and effort you guys put in out there.
It definitely takes a team of coaches and fellow teammates to have so much success, just like you did. You had immediate success at Clemson as you won a national championship your freshman year. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you continue succeeding throughout your career? What motivated you?
I guess, first of all, we won the national championship. I was very, very fortunate to be part of a great, great team. Kind of unheard of at that time. Actually, we were counting up today. The 16 freshmen came in on my freshman class in 1987. Each and every one of us thought we were very, very good players. And we had a great group of seniors. I believe they're out there. I heard them heckling me out there. Chino, DF, Najar, Kevin England, Paul Lieutenants. So the group of teammates we had was fantastic. A lot of competition. And then I kind of took some of the freshmen under my wing, kind of said, hey, fellas, this is what we need to be doing. Hey, every time you get the ball, buddy, you just need to give it to me. That's all you need to do. And then I'd have Greg or Coach Roots or someone to go up to the kid afterwards, or I'd get another freshman to go over and say, hey, Don, you're the best man on the field today, buddy. You played well. So they liked that, so they gave me the ball a lot. There was probably 3 players I didn't do that to. There was 3 players I didn't. 2 of them, I actually went the opposite way. 2 of them, I said, hey, buddy, when I get the ball, I'm going to give it to you. Every time I get it, you're getting the ball. And those 2 teammates was Jimmy Glenn, who went on to score however many goals for Clemson, and the other one was a fellow Hall of Famer was Bruce Murray. And every time I got it, I looked up and gave it to them. The 3rd individual really never said nothing to him. I don't think anybody said anything to him. We were kind of afraid of him. We just looked, we listened, we learned. Great leader, led by example. Really didn't have to say much to us. And I believe sometime here in the near future, he could be a potential Hall of Famer here, or hopefully we've been inducting him into the Hall of Fame. He doesn't have the statistics I have. I was very fortunate the freshman listened to me and gave me the ball, so I was able to get lots of goals, lots of assists. But this individual doesn't have great stats, but he is an All-American. He's 2-time All-ACC. He's 2-time member of the Ring of Honor, and one of the few who is a 2-time national champion. Great leader with the 87, started on the 84 and 87 team. And he's here with us this evening. I'd like to recognise him as a great leader. Looking out for us was Paul Lieutenants. I guess the other success to thank the people was obviously the medical staff. I was very, very fortunate to play 80 of 82 games while I was here. Misbehaved on the other 2 games, but that's for a different story. So it is. But Doc Carter over there, who was the medical staff at that time, I laugh and joke, Doc, and tell people nowadays I'm from Walla Holla. And that I kind of went to private school to learn how to talk like this. But little did I know it was kind of the dreaded pre-season physical from the doc. You go into the doc and the old famous 2 fingers, hey, cough, bam. And that's how I kept my accent. I was able to keep it every time I thought I was becoming Southern. I just knew I had the pre-season, go see Doc. And but he was great. His staff down there, he had Reno, had Dr. Hoover, had Donna. We had the athletic trainer, Andy Barker, who was a great trainer for us down there. And back then, we didn't worry too much about our diets, but probably give a shout out to Sammy Blackman, who introduced me to Max Drive-In. So I was able to eat burgers and fries out there 3 days a week, and kind of gave up my Coke and Little Debbie's is what my pre-game used to be. So Sammy took care of me there at Max.
Sammy's over at the soccer match going on right now, as a matter of fact. Was with you earlier today, and I heard you tell Bob Mahoney that these days, this time you spent at Clemson were the best, just the absolute best. Give me, and I'm gonna want your best memory, not memories. I want your best memory from Clemson.
You not see how old I am and how much hair I have. Really won't remember that stuff, but probably two of the best memories I have. And as I walked down the athletic hallway today, I went in to see Coach Penley, and I handed him a little gift. And as I handed him the gift, he kind of looked at me and laughed. And he had another individual in there, and he looked and laughed at the same time, and they knew exactly what that gift meant. And Monday Night Football, we used to go visit the Lazy Islander out in Pendleton. And there was probably 15, 20 people out there. And it was where I probably learned my first Southern word. And I also learned that depending upon the tone of it, kind of how you said it, could dictate how much money you won or how much money you lost. And I gave Larry today, I gave him a $1 bill that had 5 aces on it. And he loved it. But we used to play liar's poker. We used to play liar's poker out there on a Monday, and that old word of bullshit. Okay, or you could draw it out. But they were great memories. They were great memories we had out there. I see Joe White sitting beside him. I've got a $1 bill for you too, Joe. We'll have a game later. And then probably the best one, probably my best memory that I tell people is I see Billy DeAndre out there. After my sophomore year here at Clemson, I decided I'd quit the team. Didn't get along well with the coach. Surprise, surprise. But me and Coach Abraham didn't see head to head. Decided I was going to transfer to Las Vegas. And in the spring, I said, hey, you know what? I want to see what this football game is all about, American football. I want to go out there, have a look at it, see what all this crazy stuff is, offensive coaches, defensive linemen. So I went out to kick. And Billy DeAndre was the kicking coach at the time. Went out there, he said, hey, yeah, buddy, you can come and join. It was the spring. And the other thing that was attractive to me was they used to train at 6 a.m. in the morning, 3 days a week. And I enjoyed that part of it. But I heard somebody mention Chester's name just earlier on, and my son laughed at me at Chester. Lord have mercy on him. But my best memory is, hey, we used to have a 1.5 mile run on a Tuesday, Thursday. And I'd go out there and run at 8 minutes, whatever it was. I'd fly around there and I'd kind of wait on some of the guys to come through. And the last man through was Chester McLaughlin, 23 minutes, 1.5 miles. And old Chester would put the old oxygen up on his face and he'd be, say, hey, great job, man, super, we'll get better tomorrow. So he kind of looked at me one day and fortunate enough, I was in kind of the locker room with him and he says, hey, boy, why you run so fast? I said, I'll tell you what we do, Chester. I said, I watch you lift weights, man, and he could pound some weights. I said, why don't you go talk to Coach Ford? I said, you lift my weights, and I'll do your running. And I said, okay. He said, yeah, let me ask Coach. So I go out there that day in practice. I look over. I said, did you ask him yet, Chester? No, I'll go right now, but I'll go. So I see Chester walking over to Coach Ford. And I just see Coach Ford grab that face mask, and I just see Chester's head go this way. I mean, you name it. I seen his head going, and I just disappeared. Hey, Bill, I got class tonight, pal. I can't stay. So I didn't see Chester for about 3 days, and I said, hey, buddy, what's the story? You want me to do your running today? Nah, Coach didn't like that. Coach didn't like that. So that's probably one of my fondest memories. Out there, I seen how it was all put together and had a good time.
Well, it sounds like you had some very wonderful memories while you were here at Clemson, some very funny memories. I'm sure you were a great friend, a great teammate to have, but you teach soccer professionally now. Besides the skills of the game, what do you try to teach these young athletes about competition?
Biggest thing I tell the kids is, hey, have fun, work hard, enjoy yourselves, get out there and have a good time. Doesn't go over too well with the kids, but I do tell the parents and the kids, I was very fortunate. I scored a 710 on the SAT. At that time, you only needed 700. So obviously my two kids can close their ears because they're abused. But I tell people, hey, it's just a matter of getting in there. I got 710. I came to Clemson with no bad habits. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. Didn't chase women. Mind you, I got a phone number tonight too. Thank you, Sharon. But so I didn't have any of them bad habits. So it was a little bit different. So it's more telling them, hey, to work hard, hey, make the right decisions, kind of do what they're doing. But I was also very, very fortunate when you say I'm coaching soccer professionally. I've got some friends out here tonight who, from an education standpoint, it took me 6 years to graduate. I love Clemson that much is really what it was. But I finished in 1990. I had been very fortunate that some people like Steve Cooper and Gwyn out there who got me involved in youth coaching. And then there was a club in Greenville called St. Giles Soccer Club, of which I didn't have a green card. Being a foreigner then, I wasn't legal to be here neither. But they said, hey, we'll hire you. I thought, hey, this is great, super. I'll get out of school, I'll be done. And Jack Portnier, Brian McFeely, and then Beth and Chet Smith, who's out there, said, hey, we'll hire you on a condition that you got to graduate. And I looked at him and said, you guys got to be crazy. Gotta be great. This ain't happening. I take 12 hours. It's great. I'm eligible to play soccer, and it's super. But it is the best thing that they ever did for me, is making me go back. I got married in fall of '92 in August. Came back. Had no money. Did live on love. My wife and I were very, very fortunate. I see Terry and Kathy Archenhole out there who opened up their home, let us live with them, let us live on love. But came back and graduated in December of '92, and thanks to Beth and all them folks who allowed me that opportunity to do that. And then I was fortunate enough then with one other individual probably who I met. We had a little addiction. We were workaholics. We did almost lose our wives. Look at that, I'm seeing them smiling there. We both were addicted to work. We were workaholics. And this individual then, he basically built a rehab center. Didn't know it at that time, but it's a rehab center where I spend, if you ask my wife, I spend too much time out there, but I spend out there 5 to 7 days a week. It's a 16-field soccer complex called the Mesa Soccer Complex in Greenville. And this individual built it basically single-handedly. Great man was Rick and Madeline Carter, and I certainly appreciate it from Rick and Madeline. This my last one, or you got another question?
This is it.
Okay. All right. So I guess probably 99% of the people I have met through Clemson and through sports, a lot of you in here in the room, and I certainly appreciate the support. The other 1% who I don't associate with anymore, I met them in jail. They're all Gamecocks. They are. But I certainly appreciate each opportunity. I was honoured. I was privileged to represent Clemson as a player, as a captain, and I certainly hope I'll do you proud as I continue as an ambassador to soccer and as a Hall of Fame member. Thank you.
Congratulations.
There you go. And if you weren't, congratulate. Love it. If you are not mentioned by Pierce tonight, we apologize. Okay? Next up from women's basketball, great player from 1991 and 1992, Sharon Wells, ladies and gentlemen.
Basketball leader Sharon Wells was Clemson's top scorer and MVP in both 1999 to 1991 and 1991 to 1992. She finished her career 20th on the list for most points with 930 points in only 2 years of play. Sharon was named to the 1991 ACC All-Tournament team and as a 1991 American Women's Sports Federation All-American. Please help us congratulate Sharon Wells. Hi, Sharon. The jacket suits you very well.
Yes, it does.
I love it. I love it. So you came to Clemson from a junior college in Texas. Tell us a little bit about that. What attracted you to Clemson?
Well, because it was the ACC, and I wanted to play against the best. And at that time, I thought we had the best people in that conference, Don Staley, you know, Andrea Stinson, Rhonda Mapp, the Heather, Heidi, the twins, the Burgess. And so that was one of the reasons I came to Clemson, because I wanted to prove myself against the best. Yeah.
Well, you definitely, and Sharon, we're going to get you, hold your mic up a little bit, if you would, please. You definitely proved yourself. I mean, just a great stat career that you posted here at Clemson. But you can't, a great player cannot do it without great teammates. Right. Talk about just your teammates, playing on that team. There is something that is special about being part of a team.
It sure is. I actually, a couple of them, well, one of them is here now, my point guard, the one that gave me the ball, Jackie. And we had a great team that year. We had a great team. I had great teammates, and everybody just was that camaraderie, just, you know, being together and playing together. And so that's why we went pretty far back in 1991.
Well, we can tell you worked hard. You were very competitive and worked hard for what you wanted. But what piece of advice would you pass on to young athletes who are trying to compete at the collegiate level?
Just stay humble, for one. Stay competitive, of course. And stay dedicated and commitment to what you want to do. So that's it.
Well,
that's
you
great.
are definitely a part of the Clemson family. Congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Great to meet you.
Next up from men's basketball, great player here from 1977 to 1980. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Billy Williams.
Basketball scoring guard Billy Williams was a member of Clemson's NCAA Elite Eight squad in 1979 to 1980. Billy averaged over 20 points per game his senior year in conference play, the best in the ACC that year. After setting the record for best field goal percentage by a Clemson guard, he was a second-round pick for the Houston Rockets in 1980. Please help us congratulate Billy Williams. Hi, Billy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Billy. Now, you come from the Tar Heel State down here to Clemson to play a little basketball back from your day. Now, basketball obviously big in the Tar Heel State. Maybe when you came here to the Palmetto State wasn't so big at that point in time. What was it that made you want to come to Clemson and play your collegiate basketball here?
Well, you can thank Norm Sloan for that. You can thank NC State coach for that, because I was supposed to go to NC State, and he gave my scholarship to another player.
That player being?
Kenny Matthews, I think.
Oh, yeah, all right.
So you can thank Norm Sloan and Kenny Matthews. And so my junior college coach, he set up, told me to pick out 6 teams, 6 schools I liked, and Clemson was one of them. I came for a visit. And I really liked it. Me and the teammates, we hit it off right from the start. I had never met any of them, and we hit it off right from the start. And then I kind of bought into what Coach Foster was doing at that time. You know, my first year, Clemson was on that last year of probation. So his goal was to start from the bottom to build a program up to where the football team was at. And I kind of bought into that. And he just laid it on from there.
We're glad you came to Clemson.
Oh, I'm glad too.
Well, during your career at Clemson, you were the go-to guy. You were the go-to guy, especially during your senior year. But who gave you the confidence to be the want-the-ball person in those critical situations?
Well, if you can ask any of my teammates, Bobby Conrad, you out there? Yeah, if you can ask any of my teammates, I've always had that confidence. I had that confidence before I even got here. That was my thing, scoring the basketball. That was my thing. I love to do that. I was doing that since I was in junior high school. I could always score the ball, but I had to learn to do other things also. And Coach Foster and the rest of the coaching staff, they instilled that and to work hard and, to work at the other aspects of the game, because scoring was easy for me. Basketball was easy for me. I really didn't have to go out there and work for basketball. Basketball was easy. It was like the Lord just passed that gift down to me. He said, here, you're going to play basketball. It was just easy for me from day one. And I loved to play. I stayed in the gym all the time. I was always in the gym. When I woke up in the morning, when I was a young kid, on my block, we had to go down at the dead end. And I'd be out there like 8 o'clock in the morning, and all the neighbors would come to the door like, I knew that was Bill out there bouncing that basketball. I knew he was out there. I knew that who it was, and I was always out there playing basketball. I was, I played other sports, but basketball was just it for me. That was a love from basketball from day one. I just love basketball.
I love what they said about you in the clip that we had. You had swag before there was swag. I absolutely love that. You look at today's player, and that certainly is part of the culture with today's player. Today's player is always looking to have that swag. In your mind, though, is there a great difference between players of your era and the players of today?
Not that much. I think when we played, it was more about flexibility, and because we lifted weights and everything, but Coach didn't want us to get bulky. He wanted us to be flexible, play several different positions, and be able to be athletic and, you know, move around. I think now they are emphasizing more in the weightlifting where guys are getting more built, getting bigger, and there's a lot of injuries happening. We very rarely had any injuries on the 3 years I was there. I don't remember anyone getting hurt significantly, like ACL. And I never heard of ACL. I never heard of that before. And my son is here with me. He's had 2 ACL surgeries. And, you know, back then, you know, nobody got hurt because if you got hurt, you were scared that was it. Because there was other guys waiting for somebody to get hurt so they can get that chance. So you try to stay as healthy as you can.
Well, training table, I guess, of biscuits and gravy and eggs and grits and stuff was pretty good.
Oh, man,
back in
it
those,
was good eating down here. Good eating down here. Good eating.
I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate once again Billy Williams.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, so if we would, we'll let Billy get seated, take his seat, and we will, if we all would, rise as one and congratulate our inductees into our Hall of Fame. My thanks, obviously, to the 2014 Miss South Carolina, Lainey Hudson, for helping me out on the program tonight. But we still got refreshments that are going to be out back, so we hope that you will take part in that, mingle with our Hall of Fame inductees, and congratulate them, give them a handshake if you would. Before we leave, though, we will even ask you all to stand as we sing the Clemson alma mater, all right? We'll do that before we exit. Congratulations once again to you sons and daughters of dear old Clemson for your induction into our Athletic Hall of Fame. We'll have the reception out back. Look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you for being here this evening.